Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to bring you another fantastic Grand Prix in AOR's 28th season on a PC main tier 1, and this time it's from Spielberg in Austria. And as you can see, we're heading for which is going to be our second out of 5 back-to-back races, and to close out the season with our 4 remaining races, including this one. And after that, we'll be heading to a short stint in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, followed by Abu Dhabi, and then it's Brazil as the classic season finale for AOR. And today's Grand Prix features 10 turns, 3 DRS zones, 3 very big straights, and a smaller little one after turn 8 into turn 9. Very tricky passing into turn 4, always under braking, very risky. Also turn 3, after you get a lot of overspeed, exiting turn 1, you need to be very cautious about where you brake and when you brake, not to overshoot it or drive into your opponent's car. And 3 DRS zones are actually followed by 3 DRS detection zones, very rare. And yeah, short run, short lap, the shortest on the calendar as of right now. There's no change to the lineup, so we're going to skip that. And we were heading to the final result of last week's Grand Prix in China, as we saw Tudor take a fantastic win after passing Desig on the opening straight on the last lap and not giving that back. We had a fantastic showdown between the top 5 at the end there, with Solid Ninja Snake taking his first podium of the season after getting his time penalty removed, and Desig, as I said, in 3rd position. Robert took 4th for Williams, came 5th after starting on pole. Both McLarens locking out the front row. That was not what they were hoping for, but you have to commend them for doing another fantastic job in qualifying, despite our already crowned world champion in Rising Moon, who finished in 6th, not participating in that qualifying session. Gabriel 7th, Tobias 8th, then Max Duca after an opening lap collision with Kramer only 9th, and Endor had a horrible day at the office, or only reserve there. And yeah, Tudor was the fourth driver and the 4th different constructor to take a win in the season after Karim, Rising Moon, and the Glücksbanner, who is no longer racing in this league. And as you can see, that has been the first non-podium finish and outside of the top 2 for Rising Moon ever in this season. And this is a very, very remarkable day. Second is Karim, closely followed by Tesik, but he needed to get more points out of that result last time out. Then Kramer in 4th, you have to say, because Glücksbanner realistically is no longer racing, and I expect Kramer to overtake him anyway. Solid Ninja Snake up into 6th after jumping both Max Duca and Jamie. And Tudor into 9th position with 25 points. Obviously, you can expect a very high jump in the driver standings. And yeah, also good showing from Robert, who's now on the board with more than 20 entries to our season so far. And he's also only 4 points behind Gabriel, who also jumped 2 positions. Yeah, and obviously some drivers not racing, enabling people to catch up and score good. There has been a big correction in my standings for this week. I've completely forgot to give the Racing Bull points back from signing out Glücksbanner as a reserve. So yeah, that wasn't totally correct. And yeah, only Red Bull overtook them for second now. And yeah, McLaren is probably in the need to score big here tonight to make a bigger jump. Mercedes is gonna be a champion anyway. I think they actually clinched that with last week. Let me think. You can get 100. No, you can get 44 points. No, that's still technically that's still on the cards. Okay. Williams in 5th, followed by Ferrari, but there's still a bigger gap now. Aston Martin closing that gap to the Maranello squad. Alpine and Sauber only separated by 1 point, but yeah, have not had the opportunity to score big. And Haas still without another point scoring finish since the second race of the season, and there are currently no active drivers anyway. That's gonna be very hard to do anything about it. As we now jump into the game, and we will have an early look at who is gonna be here for today. Our race winner from last week is here. Byrne is back, which is nice to see. We have Solid Ninja Snake after the podium, looking to maybe continue his current trend in form. Cypher is back, nice to see. Robert is back, and both of the McLarens are back. And we also have Tizik in as of right now. So I expect Kramer still to join. No Rising Moon so far. River Shan as a reserve, obviously gonna take whatever on the cards here. And there's Max Duca as well, so both Williams are here. And River Shan has taken the Haas as we are close to takeoff. Only 13 drivers expected, so maybe Rising Moon and Kramer are missing, let's see. And then we will be already off into our usual 18 minutes of qualifying before heading into what is going to be a 50% race with 36 laps, 36 very short laps. As you can imagine, a lap around 1 minute 5 on the race pace here around this track. And then we're gonna see who's coming out on top. And I hope that some of these drivers have found some time to practice in order for this to be another great race. And as it looks like we're gonna be already building up and some might be joining later. So let's see. And with that right now, Rising Moon out of the window completely means an access to spot at the podium, regardless of whether he has finished on it last time out. Because as I said, one of the top 2 positions was always reserved for him. And we are off for short qualifying session in Austria. And we are in the session. Let's see what these drivers can produce. Well, I expect them to be able to complete at least 4 runs here. They don't sleep on the early runs as well. And yeah, maybe have a short last 3 runs. But yeah, maybe 2 runs on an older tire, meaning they will use a tire for 2 laps. Should be fine here. Let me check what. We have, what tires do we have? C5, C4 and C3. And I've just been spoiled about the weather conditions for the race, and I can tell you it's gonna get wet. Solar Ninja Snake on his first attempt here, out of turn 1 and onto the first. Yeah, good overtaking opportunity. Usually no one really goes for an overtake into turn 1. And that has been already the first sector, as we now head down the hill into turn number 4. At the end of the 3rd and final DRS zone. And now into the what only can be described as a technical sector. With 2 very fast left-handers. Into a quick changing right. Into a double quick right. Finishing out the 10 laps around this lap. 10 turns, sorry, not 10. 10 laps around this lap. And that's the first time they all have to beat. And next across the line is going to be Cypher. over the line now and beats that. 2/10 faster from the V-Cup driver, and there's an invalidation for Robert. And now let's see, our pole sitter from Canada and our most recent winner in the Aston Martin. A lot of ES still on this lap. It's not gonna be enough. 5.8, and Tobias is starting off his lap in the back. As Max Duca is gonna finish his one, and that's a 4.38, and that is just behind first place Cyber right now. Rivershan over the line, 5:04. That's better than Tudor, but not faster. That's an out lap. That looks like a charge lap. Let's go to Tobias. Both McLarens are out finally, and only Red Bull Tesik is missing. .45.1 is a bit. I say a bit. It's almost half a second slower than Solid Ninja Snake as of right now. So might be coming in at a 1.5 something. And that's a 1.50 for the Ferrari driver. As there's a second attempt started by Tudor. And that's reversion into the pits. Gabriel on his attempt already. Then there is Karim just starting his attempt, his first one. Burned at a 10.5. As a banker. And there's a 10.8 on the board currently for Robert, who is now coming into the final turn. And pushing that final bit of ES out of his car. 4.8 to 4th. Burn. 5.0 to 5th. And now Gabriel over the line. Close to 4:03 as well. There's now 3 drivers with that time. There's Tobias starting another one. But that is no use because he already invalidated the next lap with that. Solid Ninja Snake already on a fresh tire, but Karim is the next. Across the line. And that's a 4.2, and that's the provisional pole position time for our Lebanese McLaren and #1 driver, because the second is also Lebanese, and in fact they are both cousins. So I cannot just say that there's one or the Lebanese driver for you, so I always have to keep an eye on who is where, as Tudor finds almost half a second worth of lap time. Tesik is the only one without a lap so far, but he has just started his attempt with roughly 11 minutes to go. And Tudor over the line now. What can he produce? It's a 4.9, and that puts him into 7th. As the... Oh! And that goes wrong horribly in to the wall just before the finish line. From Solid Ninja Snake, who just completely lost it on the apex out of the last turn. And then his lap was done. Together with his front right end plate. And that Mercedes needs a bit for a fresh wing. Yes, Rivershan is now the next to start a lap. And he goes very wide off the track, but seemed to be slow enough. But again, but he aborts that lap. Anyway, as there's Tesik now into 1 minute 4.4s. And Burn improved to a 4.9. And let's look at the gaps for one moment. Roughly half a second between P1 and P7. And P1 to P10 is under a whole second. So I expect some drivers to still find some time. Max Stuka is on another attempt. Rivershan coming around the final corner is gonna restart this tire for another try. Fully committed by Max Stuka. Can he go to provisional pole? He can! Finds roughly 0.2 of a second worth of lap time to go 22 thousandths of a second faster than the current pole position holder. That was Karim for just a moment. And now another attempt by Cypher. As Burn is heading into the pit lane. Both McLarens are out on out laps. Let's go to Rivershan. Another invalidation. Not good for the components right now. We need to start bringing in some laps now. As you can imagine. You can still bring in a very fast one when the dyno is already over and the track is at its best. Cypher into the final two turns. Brings the car in wide from the big apex for turn 9. Goes over the line now. A provisional pole position time by half a second better than his previous time. A 3.8 and the only and first driver at the same time to breach into the 1 minute 3s. As we see Gabriel finish off another attempt. And his time clocks... his stopwatch clocks him at a 3.939, and that is just the second driver to do that now. And he's into P2 onto the front row as both Solid Ninja Snake, Tobias and Tudor have started new attempts, sorry. A lot of the air is already used by Solid Ninja Snake. But he's trying to find more time. Currently half a second would find him in P3. So a lot of time needs to be found to find any sort of improvement for his position, which is currently not provided by his lap time after the second sector. Uses a lot of apex curb for turn 9, brings the car in and then blast to the line, and it's a 10 faster, and that brings him to provisionally P5 as Tobias jumps after an improvement of roughly 6/10 to 7th, as there's a medium tire currently on Tudor. Who has just now started another lap. And now we will be going on board with the Red Bull driver of Tizik, who has completed a couple of podiums and being in P3 respectively most of the time. And he took his provisionally best finish in China with P2, but after that removal of the time penalty from Mercedes driver Solid Ninja Snake, he is being demoted once again to his third place. He finds 16 thousandths of a second in the first part of this check, and that is obviously the start finish straight, turn 1, and then the entry to turn 2. Now the only really slow part of this check, and there's an invalidation on the outside of turn 6 for the Red Bull driver. As we see Did 2 actually? His best lap time has been coming for him on a medium time. Now it's a 4.7. So River Shan is the only one struggling to get into the 1-minute 4s. And there is Karim on another lap. One of the only drivers. Bit of exit wheel spin. And now into the second sector. He's slower. Might be good to abort this attempt, and he will do so. As if he heard that what I just said in the broadcast. And Gabriel's on an outlap. Let's go with him. Time is still valid. And over the line now. Some drivers are coming out of the pit lane. Go to the left hand side. Apex to run as wide as he can. And do not ride the sausage curb on the left hand side at the exit of turn 1. Then bring the car in nicely. The left hand side brake at 100 meters. Use 4th gear for maximum traction, not for turn-in. Bring the car nicely and stable back onto the outside for turn 4. Can, if you wish, use more curb. He just missed that braking point a little bit there for the apex and ran wide. And now into what is gonna be a very fast turn 6 and 7. We can bring a lot of speed onto this. Straighter is the only one without DRS, and he is also aborting this one because he was not faster in the first 2 sectors. Let's go to Robert, who is now exiting turn 8. Going into turn 9, he has found some pace. There's no heading for the line. What can he do? He jumps to 3rd. Almost 8/10 improvement found by the Williams driver. Beats his teammate as of right now and puts himself on the 2nd row with a 1 minute 4.058. As River Shan, our only reserve driver, is currently in a position without any points, has now found half a second of an improvement and is challenging Byrne for 10th. Out of 2 minutes to go and a track being at its best, I expect the Alpine driver to find some pace as well. And hopefully beating a medium runner in 2-door. As there's now a 9th place next to River Shan's name. And he's been demoted to 10th after Byrne took a time that was 2,000 faster than Solid Snake and is now in 6th position. And I assume that might be a final attempt. Sci-Fi has retired from the session. Does not think there's an improvement in there. Or thinks he's safe anyway. No idea what it's gonna be, but we'll see and find out. Okay, who's the next to finish off his lap? Max Stuka started 1. Outlap for Tesik, River Shan into the pits. Tudor starting 1. Karim is finishing off. 50 seconds on the clock. Gabriel needs to get over the line, and he will do so, and there's an improvement by 172 thousandths of a second from Karim that puts him into 3rd place, just beating Project Race GP, also known as Robert, who's only gonna be finishing in 4th, and still comes out of the pit lane, don't know why. Byrne is over the line and done. I hope he does not block people now. Next to cross the line is the Ferrari of Tobias. Had a very strong race in Singapore. After that it has been back to mediocre, but he's 4,000 faster than Byrne to take 6th position. Solid Ninja Snake does not improve. And Max Dukas onto the front row now with 2nd place. Very well done by the Italian driver in the Williams team. Can Tesik do anything about this current 9th position? He jumps into 4th, beating a lot of people behind him. And now Tudor, who's currently in last position, jumps to 7th. And the only try to do something about his time would have been Gabriel, but he is on an invalid lap time. And now his teammate is going to come over the line as well. And that has been qualifying. Very few drivers with late laps to bring themselves up the order and push the field a bit closer together. As we see, a pole position time 23 thousandths faster from Cypher compared to Duca. Then it's a McLaren front row, McLaren second row for 3rd and 4th. As my key is stuck on the keyboard. Karim and Tesik actually set the exact same time, with Karim only doing it before him, then 6,000 behind that Robert, and then Tudor beat Tobias. Byrne and Solid Ninja Snake were together by 6,000 off in 2nd, and Rivershan unfortunately at the back of the field. And it's raining, and that's gonna spice things up very heavily. But we will be heading to a quick break as per usual, and before the race starts off. And we are back for the start of today's varied Austrian Grand Prix, as we see everyone being on the green walled intermediate tires. And this is obviously gonna be an unfortunate timing for a red race, because I think we could have been treated to a very classic race, where now overtaking is going to be very, very difficult, despite 3 DRS zones and 3 still very long straights on this short track. And I just hope everyone saw the weather forecast and made changes to their car accordingly to bring some pace from quali also into the race, where the points are scored, obviously. Short track also means a very short formation lap. And despite the lap times being up by roughly 15 seconds per lap now, going into the 1 minute 20s, it's still a very short one. And I could not be further away from the starting grid in terms of the front angle of the field. I guess we have to work with that. We go to 5 red lights for the Austrian Grand Prix race 13 out of 16 in AOR's 28th season. And we try to... there's a shot. And Tizik is trying to fight Gabriel already, as both of the McLarens are very close. And Tizik has gotten ahead and split the McLarens for now. Byrne and Tobias are fighting there deep in the back. There's no real movements have appeared already, and we can see that there's a predicted full intermediate race for this. Solid Ninja Snake is now fighting with Tobias for 9th after losing that position, and Gabriel is back fighting Tizik. Lost that on the braking, and after that it's everyone in order, driving like they are a part of the chain. And now there is a chance maybe for Robert, because there was a very loose Gabriel into turn 6 and 7. But he kept his car under control. But the Williams driver is looking very feisty right now, as Tobias went off to check there a bit in the last turn and now lost the position to Rivershand. Good luck, Karim and Gabi, says Nicolas, and that is surely a support for McLaren camp, as we see more people going side by side, with Max Duka now being challenged by Karim and now overtaking. And there's Tizik thinking about a move here as well, and he needed to go very deep and very sharp into the turn, as Gabriel defended from the other Williams driver in 6th position right now, as Tizik and Max Duka go wheel to wheel into turn 4, and Tizik is thinking, okay, I need to get back into my beloved 3rd position. Tries to hang it around the outside of 6th, but that is a very long way to be off the line and try to get an overtake done, as all of the drivers have very well behaved so far, and Cypher already extending his gap at the front to almost a second, despite DS not being a thing. And you can see who has some extra front downforce here, as that's another fastest lap of the race. And obviously that slipstream is gonna help, as Byrne has now been demoted to 10th position after being overtaken by Rivershand. And Tobias goes off the check at the exit of turn 1, and Tizik is looking to fight Max Duka into turn 3 again. Wasn't really alongside him. And Gabriel and Project Race GP are now back into their original positions. One of them is clearly fast on the straight and better on the braking right now, but you need to line up your moves to make sure you also stay ahead at the exit. And with no immediate counter from a DS zone, everything is basically based on how you set up yourself before heading for that overtaking opportunity, as we see that Karim has already closed down the gap from Cypher and is now on the charge. Max Duka with the fastest lap, and there's a attempt by the McLaren driver maybe. No, he pulls back into the slipstream of the V-Cup driver, as Max Duka is now wide on the exit trying to defend from Tizik. They're all in that slipstream from the 2 cars ahead. And now Tizik is going for that inside move, but Gabriel was on the outside there. They're very close and very tight at the apex, and now Robert has been benefiting from that, but couldn't really get the power down. And now Gabriel is back in front, as Karim is not attempting one move here as of right now. And Max Duka fighting for his life to stay with Tesik and also keeping that 4th position. But the McLaren goes to the inside, and now the team is down the inside, and they both overtake Max Duca at a very critical corner. And Robert also almost losing their car now, coming under pressure again, and they're currently hurting themselves more than they are doing anything for the race, because they are now losing that slipstream and a bit of that extra power down the straight to the cars in front, because obviously, as you can see, there's no DRS as of right now. Tudor pulling out of the slipstream of Max Duca, but there's no chance right now as we switch to the top 2, followed by, yeah, well, basically still everyone, as this field has not been spreading out so far. Karim down the inside of into turn 3 of Sci-Fi, who goes deep, and Tesik is benefiting from that massively. He is on to a very great exit and following that McLaren right into his slipstream, pulls out to the outside of turn 4. A bit late braking going on by the McLaren, and he stays ahead because the inside line of turn 4 is on the right hand side, and he was on that line, and now he's defending that into turn 5 and 6 as they head once again for that infield section. And there's been a mistake by Robert. He's off and he's cutting some grass like the now retired Valtteri Bottas did in 2020 after going onto that patch of grass in qualifying. And now there's a pit stop by Solid Ninja Snake, and I'm interested to see what is happening now. Let's look at the tires and what he's currently doing, as yeah, Robert is now down into... That's hard tires for Solid Ninja Snake. I'm having particles on at the maximum, and he's thinking there's apparently no rain. And that is certainly surprising, as Robert, who has been demoted to last briefly, has already regained a position on Tobias, as the top 2 are once again fighting. And Cypher, who had that well done under control, is now losing massively. Goes not really in the fight here. What is Mercedes weather forecast looking like? And there's a pull into the pits by Karim. You need to stay behind the white lines before heading into the final turn. And it seems like there is gonna be a very dry race very soon. And there you have the confirmation. There is the DRS enabled now, as multiple cars are heading now into the pit lane. And you can expect for these C3 hard tires to last the whole distance, as now Tesik is defending from Cypher, while Max Duca standard slipstream, braking for turn 3 to defend from Gabriel, who's now the leading McLaren, as Robert chooses to go for the medium tire, which is also a good option because of the warm-up for these hards. We're gonna need some laps here. And Tesik is now pulling away here, as Gabriel now takes the outside of Max Duca. Is there any chance for him to fight back? No, he just has more grip, and Solid Ninja Snake jumped both of the drivers who were around them. And now more people are heading into the pits. I assume everyone is going to be in. Not Max Duca. Thinks it's too wet. Sorry, Max. You don't stink. Let's see where everyone is coming out now. Tire warm-up is still gonna be crucial here. Let's see what the it's 70 degrees. And I think Max Duca is rolling the dice here, because I've seen multiple races in this game when you damage to Vivershan. He just completely floored it, and now he has damage to his front wing, as Tudor is already out in front of Gabriel and fighting. Maybe Karim into turn 3. No, that's not gonna be happening. And Solid Ninja Snake jumped 4 people now. And I think Max Duca might be still in a good spot. And Gabriel goes over the white lines. And into the gravel. And now there's a collision with Rivershan. Another moment for Gabriel Weiss, losing maybe a bit of his temper after having so many good qualifying sessions and not being able to score good points. Only in the top 20 by the last race, while his teammate is fighting for that second place. Rivershan with a 3-second time penalty. Let's see where Max Duca comes out. Also on the hard tires, side by side with Solid Ninja Snake, but he has DRS from a car in front. And Tuda is benefiting from this massively as he's now challenging that P3 from Karim, who was not really in his fight before the start of the pit stop phase. And Robert could also regain something here as he's the only driver on medium tires. They can last and they will be a bit preserved by the cold weather right now. They are not under full exposure from heat and anything. That's also making these hard tires warm up less. Below 80 degrees on the front tires for Tudor. But the problem is that Robert does not have a car in front of him right now that can pull him along. Stesic has emerged at the top in front of Cypher. And now there's a fastest lap by the Williams driver in 7th position. And you can see how this gap has been created by this virtual chaos caused by the switch to the dry tires. Has the rain completely stopped? Yeah, it has completely stopped by the last lap. And the Rivershan is... Oh! We just missed that. Didn't expect that to happen, to be honest. And Cypher is back into the race lead after needing to concede it some laps into the Grand Prix. And now and now it very much makes a difference if you have a car in front or not. And Rivershan with another 3-second time penalty goes up to 6 in total. And this group of cars involving a McLaren, an Aston Martin, a Mercedes and a Williams is gonna be fighting for that last and final podium position as Byrne has retired in the pit lane for whatever reason. Not sure if he had more damage or was not feeling his car. No one was really far away from the field. And he is stuck in the pit lane exit. Very weird. There's no left decision, so everyone who is currently in the race just needs to finish it for some points. As Cypher puts in another fast lap of the race, as the gap from third has not come down yet. And now Rivershan with another time penalty as Gabriel improves that fastest lap. Very different levels of ES all around. Tudor's fighting Karim now, and Max Duca is challenging Solid Ninja Snake, and it just swap positions as there's been a bad exit from Cypher and he has now been overtaken by Tesic next to... Let's see if the pack behind there gets another attempt. Karim around the outside. Very good exit from Max Duca now. Kuda's still ahead at the apex of 6. Into 7 now. They're all very much aligned, but there is Solid Ninja Snake doing a bit of a switchback going into turn 7. As Robert is still trying to push on from Gabriel. As Tobias and Rivershan have now completely lost the mark to the guys around them. As there's a new fast lap by Tezik. And Solid Ninja Snake needs to be aware that he cannot lose the DRS to the front guys, but as of right now, he is in that DRS. And Karim is pulling out to the inside of turn 3. And there's a wide moment by the McLaren driver, and Max Stuka is now side by side and briefly ahead, now fully ahead. And that is now maybe an opportunity for Solid Ninja Snake. He thinks better of it and does not stick his nose in, as this fighting is obviously helping the 2 guys behind and the 2 guys in front. And Tezik is fighting for that first win. Has a very consistent and very good form over the season. Apart from, I think, the first race we did not finish very high inside the top 10. Would have to look that up. And now Solid Ninja Snake down into 6th position, and there's a pit stop by Rivershan as Cypher has retaken the lead of the race. And Rivershan has also decided to call it a day. And behind that, Max Stuka. Oh, and another move. Tezik down the inside. This looks like very much a duel between those 2 cars we've seen in real life. Of Lawson fighting for a seat that Paris is, since the start of the season, not worthy of having. And they should have swapped them out by the summer break at least. And after it became very apparent that McLaren was the faster driver, had the faster car and the better driver lineup. You don't want your team fighting for a Constructors World Championship as Tobias gets another his first 3-second time penalty, as Robert has a front ring damage now and has been passed by Gabriel. You don't want a team working for a Constructors World title and defending that with only 1 car. So you need to make swaps. And obviously that Baku race killed Perez's points total. But you cannot be in 8th position over 100 points behind your teammate who's fighting for the championship in a Red Bull that is still very capable of completing top 10s and top 5s in quali. So yeah, Perez, as much as I like you, you should get out and maybe get replaced by a Cypher. Because he's certainly doing a better job in a V-Cup. Also, 8 points out of the last 5 races compared to both Haas's being better. Basically everyone is better. Don't know how you... Fucking Ocon has more points than you, has more laps led than you. What are you doing? Okay, this 4-way fight has not changed as of right now. Cypher is still charging his ears behind Tezik, so I expect them to continue their fight very soon, but not right now. The battling has calmed down a bit. Both Cypher and Tezik have not won. Only Rising Moon Glücksbanner, who has retired, as well as Kaim, 1 win in Spain and 1 win in China for Tudor. Another driver can add their name to the list of individual race winners for this season, as Kaim is now better at that fastest lap of everyone who just set it in front of him, and I expect the track to be getting very warm in the next 10 minutes, as there's a 3-second time penalty for Robert now, which hurts his chances of finishing in 7th. As Kaim is now challenging Tudor on the outside and makes a move. Stick, very lackluster exit from the Aston Martin driver, as he's now being demoted to 5th position. A bit of a lag there, and then no attempt made by the Aston. As you can see, the sun is coming out in the mountain hills of Spielberg, a very lovely place in the Austrian Alps, and also I think 1,000 or 900 meters above sea level. So I think the second highest track after Mexico, with 2.2k above sea level. So yeah, very lovely track, and I think all of you can imagine watching down from one of these hills onto the track is a very beautiful sight that has been also captured by TV cameras around the years. After the return of Spielberg 10 years ago, as Gabriel receives a 3-second penalty for his troubles and is now been at the back of the bottom 3, and they're all penalties. So they really need a safety car. Out of 9 drivers, who is gonna cause one? And the level and standard of driving these people are performing inside this season is very high, and they don't tend to do shit that is questionably, and yeah, basically ends in a lot of tears. I've seen worse esport races where everyone is a little man-child, and Cypher is still charging his battery, is maybe waiting for that final move on lap 36. But I can tell you, the longer you wait, the more pressure mounts. As Tudor sets now the fastest lap of the race. And Solid Ninja Snake is about to lose the DRS here if he does not hurry up a bit. 44% ERS charge, using a bit of the overtake now. Is Kaim gonna line up a move here into turn 3? He does so, moves to the inside of Max Stuka, who was the previous owner of the last podium position inside this race for some laps now, and that is now back to the McLaren driver. Tizik and him have been still fighting for that, what is going to be second place in the Drivers' Championship, as McLaren is still fighting Red Bull. And they are currently with 2 cars here, but they are not outscoring him. 15 and... oh, a bit. 50, no, they're not. 15 and 6 points at 21. Tizik is currently on 25. So, yeah. So Ninja Snake got himself back into the DRS very comfortably, as Solid Ninja Snake also sets the fast lap of the race. Max Stuka going down the inside into turn 1 of Kaim, as Cypher was very close on the edge there by roughly a second to lose the DRS into turn 1 to Tizik, and has used all of his battery. As Kaim goes back ahead of the Williams driver, and yeah, Tudor is opening up opportunities for Solid Ninja Snake, as well as the Aston Martin is now taking 4th position from the Williams. Romanian driver now ahead of the Italian. Gabriel is still just ahead of Robert, who is still limping with his damaged front wing. Left hand side end plate on a track that has basically only right hand side corners. The Cypher sets another fast lap in this race. Is there gonna be a change to a new tire and front wing? Keeping an eye on the track map. Cypher, no move. Maybe fresh mediums. In 15 laps they should be doing alright. Max Zucker is defending from Solid Ninja Snake, and now has stayed ahead into turn 4. And let's see if Robert has some pace to catch up, because these hard tires are going to be very old. But they're probably not going to be losing a lot of time, especially with 6 out of 9 drivers being inside the DRS chain. Regardless of whether they are leading it or just being a part of it. And Max Duca is the closest currently to any of these drivers ahead. Let's check ERS levels a bit here. Cypher has recharged that as Karim is now under pressure from Tudor. Is he gonna stop that in time? Yes, he does so. But also runs a bit wide. There might be a chance here because obviously the DRS has swapped as the front two are swapping again. To the outside goes to McLaren. It's very tight on the apex. They have a bit of a contact there. And with these collision models, sometimes you just have a slight tap to the rear and you're getting spun around, even though the contact didn't suggest so. And Karen back into 3rd position as, yeah, we can see that Cyber is now leading Tesik once again. And we are already through on 2/3 of the race. With the next lap. That has been very fast. Let's see if Tesik is gonna reclaim the lead. Does not do so, and there's now a double overtake attempt here. Tudor's trying to get by on Kaim as he as a swap position again at the front. Tudor to the inside of Kaim, and he's got that one done as the sun comes out finally onto the track, and that is obviously gonna improve conditions for these drivers who, yeah, must have been struggling for front tire temperatures for some laps after the change from intermediates to the slick tires, and they will be feeling a bit more of that grip very soon. And yeah, despite the tire being already on for like 14 laps, I think they might enjoy that, despite that only being a very minimal change to how the cars feel right now. As Karim is once again back into 3rd position, as there was a slightly late move by Max Duca into the braking path of Solid Ninja Snake, as Robert has set the fastest lap at the end of the last lap. 16 laps to go with a 3-second time penalty to catch the wires. And don't expect a move being done here. Despite all the position swapping here, it's only 3.7 seconds. One mistake and a penalty still can cost top 2 drivers a position on the podium if they panic. And now Max Duca completes a double overtake on both Karim and Tudor to make it 3 wide into turn 3. And the Williams is now ahead as the McLaren is trying to retake at least 4 position, as a hectic pull out to the left hand side. Thinks he was a bit boxed in there. And Tudor stays ahead. And Max Duca maybe has a chance to get away here. Completes the move, and 2 are fighting very much, but he has not been using all of his ERS to get away. So that's gonna be still within his DRS. And even though that 9/10 of a second gap was briefly there, they're gonna be back to running in a 4-way train very soon. I think they are still gaining time on the top two. 3.4 seconds now. Quick reminder about the pit stop. Solid Snake pulled the trigger the earliest when there was still really no sign of the rain stopping soon. And then Cypher, Tesik staying out, Max Duca and Tobias staying out the longest. And that helped Max Duca to stay at least in contention for that 3rd place. But also a lap earlier would have maybe promoted him into the fight for the top 2, which is currently in the order of Tesik in front of Cypher. The American leading the Polish driver and the sister teams, as Max Duca actually has extended his lead by a second now, has found some really good pace. But unfortunately the DRS on the main straight is already to get back, and Solid Snake also already almost losing the DRS here. And Gabriel's gap has been coming down lap by lap as well. And the top 2 are still losing time. For one brief moment it was a 3.0 gap once again. Skyrim goes a bit deep into this turn and is now under pressure from Solid Snake and also under pressure from losing that DRS now. These are critical corners now for Karim, and he has 80% of ES. He should use that now to bring that gap down, to be very certain that he's still in at DRS. But he did do so on his own. Now there's a pit stop from Gabriel and a 10-second time penalty. That was way too fast. And that's medium tires. And I think what has probably started as a opportunity to retain the place and get the fastest lap with 8 laps to go has now been turned into a horrible call because he just went in too hot and it's gonna be demoted by 30 seconds despite having the best tire as of right now. You can see 10 seconds more than Robert and 7 seconds more than Tobias, and still needs to make up 12 seconds. So he eventually turned his P7 that was very safe into P9, which is a very bad call. And the top 2 are losing more and more time, 2.5 seconds. And there's another time penalty for Robert. Maybe if they don't fight, the top 2 might be at risk more. Not sure who would be the fastest right now based on ERS, maybe Karim, but I have no fun in that, so we're gonna need to wait and see. 2.8 seconds, the gap is not increasing, it's shrinking by a couple of tenths each lap. I think they might have realized that they still can get a better position, as Cypher is now pulling a move on the technically outside of turn 3, but because the shorter run on the inside of 2, he gets that done. And they're not really pushing it, but I think they will be if they are in need. And now Karim is under pressure from Solid Ninja Snake. The Mercedes on the outside. And that may be costing them if they fight it too much inside this infield, but they decide against it, and that means they are not coming under the pressure of performing inside the middle sector to be staying inside the DRS train, and it's 2.4 seconds now. So a penalty now by exceeding track limits for the third time, going over the white line with all 4 tires, is gonna demote one of the top 2 outside of the podium very soon, because they're still closing in. Now there's Gabriel with his fastest lap, which still does not do anything for him really. Stese goes to the lead of the race once again. The lap times are still better from the cars behind, and as Max Stuka is closing in the gap, everyone else behind him is as well, because you can see that they're all inside that DRS train from turn 3, from P3 down to P6, as they have been after that only pit stop when switching from inters to slick tires, and now there's a 2-second gap between second and third, and they must get the hurry on from their teams to make sure that they stay inside a fight for the first 2 positions, because this is far from over. A mistake in fighting any other car here can result in you going off the track and losing 4 positions at once. And it's now down to 1.6 seconds. You can really see in these short shots of the cars while going down the hill on the infield on how much closer Max Stuka and the pack behind got within the last 10 laps. And what was originally a gap of around 4.2 seconds has been now cut down. The gap that is 1.5 seconds, and very close to being below the 1 second mark, because these 2 are not getting away. Is Karim maybe gonna line up a move on Tudor? No. So Ninja Snake, 6 tenths down, the furthest away from these, inside that field. And Karim has used 60% of EAS over the last couple of laps, as there's been a spin. First yellow flag after a while from Robert, and I think his front wing is completely destroyed. No. Still looks reasonably okay, but yeah, his 9th position was carved into stone after pitting for a second time anyway. And now we are on the edge of 1 second between P1, P2 and P3, this little group. And Max Stuka is in. Max Stuka is in, and as soon as he heads for the brakes into turn 3, the DRS range marker is coming online for him, and he can defend himself from any attack. And we are into the 3 final laps of this Grand Prix, and what has been a personal duel between Tesik in the Red Bull and Cypher in the V-Carb has been now opened up if Max Stuka can hold it. At the top, they have preserved some of their EAS, 70 and 87% respectively. Max Stuka currently hovering that 50% mark, pressing on, trying to get away, to secure at least a third position, maybe get more, to put some pressure onto the two drivers ahead, to make sure that he can benefit off of their mistakes when they start to fight, because Cypher is certainly gonna line this move up now for a final lap attempt. And currently he is charging that battery, not using any of the faster ERS modes of overtake and hot lap. And if you want to get by on people, you need to start fighting now. But I don't think anyone is really in a position to do so. Maybe carrying 3/10 of a gap. Solo Ninja Snake is just gonna stay behind and maybe trying to benefit. Oh, sorry. Off of mistakes people are doing. And Tude has lost a second to Max Duca. So it might be a three-way fight now till the end. Red Bull versus Vika versus Williams. Now Tesik, who was leading the Chinese Grand Prix last time out, is now in the exact same position as last time. In his mirrors is a car that has been waiting to make a move for some couple of laps now. And now the V-Cup is trying to attempt to steal that lead off of the Red Bull's driver's hand once again, side by side into turn 3. A lot of curb taken by the Red Bull. They exit the third turn now. There's been a whole bunch of different smokes coming from the drivers behind as the Red Bull is trying to defend it on the outside. Cypher on the inside, having the better line arguably on the inside for 4. And he is now ahead by some meters. And he has taken the lead completely off of Tesik, who was just so close of winning the Chinese Grand Prix last time out. And he has been so close through this Austrian Grand Prix for 35 laps, but has been robbed of it again after Cypher puts an excellent display of his driving to finish off this Austrian Grand Prix in first position. V-Cup are on top after Glücksbirne retired. Cypher wins the Austrian Grand Prix in Spielberg. Tesik with a great fight to finish off in second. Max Duca third at the end there, even pulling away from Tudor, who finishes off in fourth position. Big points from Tesik against Karim, who is only finishing in fifth position. Solid Ninja Snake seventh, as Gabriel is now serving his 10-second time penalty to be demoted once again to a lower points paying position in eighth. And there's only one driver left, and that is Robert and the Williams, after having a shocking race with early wing damage after the pit stops and being on a completely different tire strategy to everyone else. He's gonna finish off with hopefully one more point to his name. Yes, he has completed that fastest lap earlier at the end of this race, as Gabriel has left the session early, and that will, I think, demote him even to 9th position there. As Dante says, great final superb strategy by Cypher to make the overtake in the last laps. Cheers. Yeah, it was very well managed by the V-Cup driver, as Tesik has been awarded the driver of the day. As we hopefully are awaiting some scenes on the podium. Polish driver on top. After he started off coming in as a teammate to who was at the time second place, Glücksbirne, he said he only wanted to score some points, and now he's at the top of Tier 1 AOR for season 28. He has beaten Tesik in a fierce fight for first position, with Max Duca just clinging onto the back of these drivers with a fantastic finale to boot. And 3 different constructors being at the top. If we had that fight for the whole season, that would have been lovely. But unfortunately, different drivers and attendance made that fight a bit meaningless, despite the personal glory from all of these drivers. And unfortunately, I don't think we will see the end result once again, thanks to whatever reason Codis is putting in here. But we will be going to a quick break and hearing from the drivers and some interviews, and stay tight. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. We are back for some drivers' interviews after today's Austrian Grand Prix race 13 out of 16 in this back season closer. And at the microphone is going to be Cypher for V Cup. Congratulations on taking that first win, being the 5th individual driver to take a win in this season. Obviously, it came at the last moment here in Austria on the final lap. When you entered this season, you said you just wanted to score some points. So how good does a win feel here today for you? Oh, hello? Ah, fuck. Okay. Okay, let's get this going. Yeah, Cypher, obviously, congratulations on that win. When you joined the season, you said you were just trying to score some points here. Now, with that win, how do you feel after this very late and last move on the last lap to close this win out against Tesik today?
Not gonna lie, I'm smiling from ear to ear. I'm really happy. It's great. But yeah, I mean, I already said it. Really, shout out to Tesik, man. Today he was actually the faster guy in the race, and I mean, being able to get dragged along for like 90% of the race, it really helped out. It especially helped out my tires, because I usually punish my tires quite a lot, but being able to just sit back really helped me manage my tires for the first time in a while. And yeah, I also was able to save up a lot of ERS. Just great, everything worked out.
Yeah, obviously, when the start of the race came, everyone needed to be on these intermediate tires. And when you look at the weather forecast inside that qualifying session, you obviously need to think about how to set up your car. What kind of compromises did you do in terms of straight line speed and cornering speed today for your setup to make this work in the wet part that we just had for a couple of laps at the start?
I mean, since the forecast already said that it was going to be like, I think 57% after 10 minutes and like 40 after 15, I already knew that after like 10 to 15 minutes it's gonna be mostly dry. So I just set up my car for a casual, basically full dry race, and just tuned down my front wing at the race start to get a bit more stability for the first few laps. I mean, obviously it was really punishing my tires, but I mean, since it was just like 6 or 7 laps of rain, it didn't do too much damage, and I was able to, I think, stay in P3, which was like good enough for me.
Yeah, obviously, when the DRS opened up, getting away from everyone behind was very crucial. At the end, you were still getting caught by this train led by Max Ducker. Was there some sort of urgency that you needed to get that move done maybe sooner before you get into a 5-way or 6-way fight with the other cars behind?
I mean, we had like a 4-second gap with like roughly 6 or 7 laps to go. At that point, I already knew, okay, it's gonna be really tough, and even if they catch us in the last 1 to 2 laps, they're still gonna be quite a bit away, since I'm able to manage the gap to Tesik, which is the most important gap, the gap between Tesik and P3, or like the race leader to P3. That's the most important gap, and as long as I'm able to manage and just stay in P2, it's not gonna be too hard to just be in control of the race.
Okay, looking at what you have achieved here today, obviously the next question I'm going to ask you about is, can you repeat this in Saudi Arabia next time?
I mean, Saudi Arabia tends to favor me more than Austria, but I wouldn't say that Austria was already a good track for me. Usually I'm not that good, but I mean, today a lot of good circumstances came together to help me get a win. I'm just gonna wait and see. I mean, I'm still would be happy with another points finish. Top 5 would be great, and everything else is just a plus.
Okay, looking forward to what you can produce next time out in Saudi Arabia. Thank you very much for that interview, and see you in 7 days' time.
Thanks. See ya.
Bye. Yeah, after the Chinese Grand Prix, Tesik was looking to finish at his season best second place. That didn't came because of a time penalty. But Tesik, honestly, now there's a second place, and you've been fighting for that win once again till the last lap after being passed again. How do you feel after this one? Was this more bittersweet than last time out? Is it equally frustrating? Where's your head right now?
I mean, I guess it's better than the last time out because I made a mistake into that last corner on the final lap, which pretty much tore everything apart. This time, there was really not that many mistakes, so happy about that. But also that run to turn 4, I just couldn't get the traction down. Then I got out dragged. And Cypher covered the inside. Props to him because of course everyone wants the inside, but he managed to out drag me to it. So I tried to go around the outside, but I think you saw what happened. Just no grip, couldn't get the traction down. And from there, just hoping I could just keep with him. Maybe make a mistake, I can get a run into the final corner. But no, he held it down pretty good. So congrats to him. That was pretty good. But yeah, just need to iron out some tire wear issues. It looks like, and then maybe we can, have a better shot at the win.
Yeah, also a question for you in terms of how the strategy played out today. Obviously, is with Solid Ninja Snake, we had someone pulling into the pit lane very early, and you being on the same tire edge at the end as Cypher did. How do you reflect on that moment where you needed to decide whether you wanted to pit or not? Obviously, DRS being also enabled very shortly after that. So how was this transition phase from your point of view?
Yeah, I actually thought that worked out pretty well in my favor because I saw the car in front of me. I think it was one of the McLarens dove in the lap before, and I felt it was just too early because the track would have been really wet. Plus, the rain was still coming down. And then as we go past the finish straight, I see the DRS is enabled. So I'm like, okay, well now, now it's time for drives. So I'll try to go as fast as I can, try to build a gap. If I come out, in front of people, and sure enough, came out. I would think, what was it, 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds in front of P3. So that worked out pretty good. And then I don't know what happened. I think I made a mistake going into turn 3. I went wide, forgot which lap it was. But then I let Cypher pretty much close up pretty good, and then from there on, yeah, we're just going to the end.
Yeah, obviously another point of pressure was when the guys behind started to closing in. Max Duca dragging along the four-way car fight he had behind him the whole race. Did you think there was more of a extra added pressure to you? That you were expecting that Cypher's gonna make a move soon, and that you, as you said, with tire wear issues, gonna be losing out more position than this one?
Not necessarily. I think that played out just about how I thought it would. It turns out me and Cypher were pretty much just trading positions, not fighting too hard. So I figured we just keep doing that till the last lap. Pretty much whoever had more ERS would hold out. I was looking at the times just to see it wasn't dropping down too much. And then I think I had 2 warnings pretty early, like around lap 10 or 15. So then from there, I was just trying my hardest not to get a penalty. So it wasn't pushing too much, and I noticed I was losing a lot of time in Sector 2 compared to everybody else. I think that's also something to look at. But yeah, just try not to get that 3-second penalty just to undo everything.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, obviously, we are in the latter stages of the season, going to be closing out in a couple of weeks. You and Karim have been fighting for that, what is going to be second place at the end of the season, very hard. And with your last 2 results, beating him in both of the races, you've been closing in on that gap. How much of advantage do you think you have in going into Saudi Arabia?
If I can't win in Saudi Arabia, I probably can't win anywhere. That's one of my favorite tracks, so we're hoping for a Rising Moon level of driving display.
Okay.
But yeah, if I can't win there, then there's no hope for me.
Oh, okay. Would have been the third different winner in 3 races, a fourth different winner in 4 races then. Okay, looking forward to see what you can produce in Saudi Arabia and see you in 7 days' time.
Yeah, see it.
Bye. And next up is our Williams driver of Max Duca taking 3rd position in a very hectic and fiercely fought battle with 4 other cars after that pit stop phases. Max, you were one of the only drivers to stay out very long when the transition phase to the dry tires happened. What were your kind of feelings inside of the car that you had when these drivers around you were pulling into the pit lane at the time the rain started to stop?
Hi, hello. Yes, I decided to stay out more because usually on this track, in previous games, I know it's pretty hard to dry out. So also if there was the DRS message that it was usable, I decided to stay out one lap more. Probably it wasn't the right decision because when I saw the gap to the ones behind that already changed their tires, I saw they were gaining on me, but quite a little. So probably a lap later than needed. I pitted a lap later than needed. But after that, I was surprised of my pace to be able to catch the ones in front and be able to stay in the fight. It was very, very funny fighting with Tudor and Karim. It was pretty hard. I managed to pass them the first time, and then I didn't manage to create a 1 second gap. So Tudor passed me again. We had a very nice fight. At the end, I managed to stay behind them a little more and charging my battery. So when I passed them in the last laps, I was able to create a gap, not quite a 1 second lap, but I had a surprising, very good pace to catch the first two. That was very surprising because I had almost a 3.5 second gap to them. I saw the gap was going down pretty quickly, but it was a surprise to be able to, in the last 3 laps, to be able to be in their DRS. I also was thinking of fighting for the win, but this season I had no podium yet, so I didn't want it to throw up this chance. So and also in the last lap they probably had very much ERS, so I tried to pass them in the straight before turn 3. But I didn't manage to, so I decided to stay behind and get this podium, which is very satisfying for me.
Yeah, obviously after your very unfortunate lap 1 collision last time out in China, where you just had to stay behind the old pack and being out of the race because as of right now, not really safety cars to bring people back into the races, as your teammate has discovered today again. You've been pulling off this performance today. How satisfied are you with what you've done compared to what you've been putting in before the race? Did you get this track very easily, naturally, or did you have to fight hard to get that pace what you had today?
No, it was quite natural because I was always comfortable on this track, and to be honest, I didn't practice so much. So I don't know. I didn't know the average pace because every time I go into a race with these guys, I think to have a good pace, but then many of them are way faster than me. So it's AOR tier 1, and you have to consider also this year I turned 50, so I'm probably the grandfather here. So being able to get the podium or being able only to finish in the top 10 in this year, I think I can't want more. I have to be satisfied with this.
A very strong performance. What do you think is possible next time out in Saudi Arabia? Do you like this track? Do you hate it? What do you think is possible for you?
I really like the track, and in the previous games I was pretty competitive. I managed to catch my first podium in Tier 1 just in Saudi Arabia some seasons ago. So I'm pretty confident to be able to be, I hope, in the top 5. But I really don't know what to expect to the others. And also, I didn't have a single lap on this track on this game, so I don't know in this game how is the track, what will be the setup. From tomorrow I will discover.
Okay, then wishing you the best of luck and see you in 7 days time for Saudi Arabia.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, moving on to fourth place, our previous winner from China, Tudor. Yeah, obviously very hard fought battle there to the end. Obviously, you, Karim, Max Duke, and also Solid Ninja Snake in that group of cars that was just behind the leader at the end. How do you reflect on your pace and your performance today?
Hello, good evening. It was quite a difficult race for me. I just didn't have the pace, so I was trying to cling on to the DRS because that was the only way I could keep up with the guys. So yeah, I was trying not to fight throughout the whole race, especially in the latter part, because I was seeing Max had the pace to catch the guys in front, so I just didn't want to disturb him. But Karim behind was putting the utmost pressure on me, so I was trying to back off in corners and then gain the time back on the straights, but that was not quite possible because I was limited on ERS. I wasn't able to recharge the battery that quickly, so it was just an awkward race for me.
Obviously, when the rain was announced to you when you jumped into that session, something needed to be looked at in terms of how much rain you were going to expecting and what kinds of setup changes you wanted to do. In qualifying, I noticed you were on a medium run inside of that session. What do you think did that for you, and why did you put on that tire despite obviously enough soft tires available for every one of you?
Well, yeah, it was. I wasn't paying attention to the game screen when the tire selection was up, so I was at the last moment. I just saw the screen and clicked it, choosing the balanced preset with 3 softs and a medium for qualifying. But I wanted to keep a soft tire for the race just in case, I don't know, the rain was gonna last until the end and it could have been a shutout. So yeah, that's why the medium run was there, so I could do 3 stints and not use all of the softs. And I was also expecting that to be more of a preparing lap for the final lap on the softs, but I just could not deliver the final lap. I didn't have the pace on the softs.
Okay, and what do you think is possible for you in Saudi Arabia next time?
Well, I mean, anything is possible. Seeing at the field right now, I'm guessing Cypher, Tizik, Max, myself, Karim, Solid Snake, Ninja Snake, we're all there. I think also the guys that finished behind us. It's all to play for in Saudi. I think it's going to be very close. It's going to be very entertaining, and yeah, I can't give results or an expectation for now.
Okay, finishing would be the first one I'd say in this stage, but yeah, okay. Yeah, looking forward to what this week can produce again. And as you said, it's very tight also on a track like this. With a few corners, you can expect close calls. Yeah, see you in 7 days' time for Saudi.
Thank you. See you. Have a good night.
Bye. And our second Williams is going to be Robert. Yeah, obviously the reverse what you've teammate experienced last time out, going from a good position on to crash at the final at the first lap. You're obviously experiencing a bit of front wing damage and being on the alternative strategy with a very long medium run there and pitting again to get that fastest lap at the end there. Tell me about how that damage came about and how do you reflect on this race today?
The damage came around during the pit stops from the inters to the dryers. I was behind Ben, was it, I think? And he pulled onto the inside as, you know, we were supposed to do in the white lines to pit. And then he completely overshot it, rejoined and smashed into the side of me. And then that gave me orange front left wing damage. So, but since I'd already gone past, I had to do a lap on that and then pit for the dries. And I figured that everyone, even though they'd gone on the hards, they'd have to pit again because it was only lap 6 or 7 at this point. And so I went on the mediums and hoping they would fix my damage, which they didn't. So I did have new tyres, but I was basically on half a front wing. and I was managing to keep up with one of the McLarens. I think it was Gabriel.
Yeah.
But when it came for my next pit stop, which I already knew was happening, I had to fix the damage, and then no one else pit, so I was really far behind. But I pitted on the last few laps because I spun and I thought I can't get any more places now, so I'll get onto the softs and guarantee the fastest lap.
Yeah, that certainly happened. Yeah, very, very unfortunate incidences. We're hearing that. Yeah, obviously, what do you think was on the cards for you today? Obviously, this field was very tight. Qualifying as well at the top seemed to be going in everyone's favor. If the race was lining up for them, what do you think would have been possible here for you today in terms of the pace you saw from quali?
I always hated Austria on every track, on every game. And when I put my lap in, I didn't expect to be within 2/10 of pole. So I knew that a podium or the win was on the cards. And even with my wing damage, I was still doing similar laps to the leaders. And it was really annoying doing all those laps at the back, thinking like, if none of that happened, I could have been at the front. And I mean, the fastest lap at the end, both on the mediums and the soft, showed that I had the pace the whole time. I think I probably could have won, but obviously it's hard to predict things like that.
Okay, what will you be expecting from Saudi Arabia as a track for you personally, and what do you think is possible overall?
I'm definitely going to need to do some practice because my pace is good. It's one of my best ones. It never has been, but because I've never really done too many laps on it, I just need to get used to doing race runs and feeling around the walls and stuff and how close I can get, what risks I can take. I know that with the tyre model in this game, if you brush the barriers even for half a second, you'll get 20% tyre wear, so I need to make sure I'm not doing that either. But I think a podium or a win there would be a good comeback.
Okay, looking forward to see what he can produce in Saudi Arabia and hopefully make this today's six-way fight, although only 9 drivers were in the fight at the end, even more interesting. Thank you very much and see you.
Thank you. Thanks. Have a good night.
Yeah, good night. And that has been it from today's Austrian Grand Prix. Thank you very much for the drivers for these interviews. And as always, if you enjoyed this, make sure you leave a subscription to this channel. AOR Tier F1 is going to return for next week in Saudi Arabia, the Jeddah Corniche Circuit race 14 out of 16. Yeah, as you can see, Rising Moon not being here. As you already confirmed, champion of this season has been opening up a couple of extra great races in terms of the fighting, and whatever we saw here today in terms of close calls and very competitive field. My name has been Hermann the German as always, and see you in 7 days time for Saudi Arabia.